welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be back. This is my first time filming since we had the baby, and it feels good to like put makeup on, fix my hair, put on like a sweater, and even though I'm probably gonna be changing back into sweatpants after this because that's just newborn life, comfy, easy, accessible. I wanted to film this because I had planned on filming this anyways, but so many of you guys are coming up on a C-section or your due date is coming up and you asked me to share my experience and go into like detail with how my experience went. So I actually wrote down so many notes during the process because it's all kind of a blur, and I'm so glad I did because there's so many things that I don't remember that I wrote down. But I will go ahead and give a warning. I'm going to go into graphic detail, and there might be certain things that might not settle well with you if you are squeamish or just kind of weird with that kind of stuff. So I would definitely maybe not move forward if that's you. But yeah, so this is your warning. Graphic detail. I will go ahead and start by saying we had Rumi on October 19th at 12:48 in the afternoon. And that was actually a scheduled C-section. I'll get into that, but we ended up naming her Rumi James. James is Ryan's middle name, and I really wanted to name her after Ryan. So that is her first and middle name. And we love her so much. She was born at 7 pounds, 8 ounces, 21 inches long, 20 inches long? A little over 20 inches long. And she's just such a blessing. She's the best baby. She's so good. And we just love her so much. And can't wait to share our like new family life with you in the upcoming vlogs. But go ahead and getting into it. We ended up having a scheduled C-section because she flipped and ended up being breached at 20 something weeks. And I kept trying to get her to flip, and we went back for an ultrasound. It turns out she actually was tangled up in her cord, so she was stuck, so she was unable to flip. So then I decided, okay, I'm gonna stop trying to force it. You know, I don't wanna like cause any problems or, you know, get her even more tangled, so we just kind of let her be. I would go back every week and she would be in the same exact position. So that kind of made me feel better that she was stuck and literally like the cord couldn't be any more tangled. We decided to schedule a C-section. So we ended up scheduling it for October 19th, which was so ironic because that was my original due date from the very beginning. And it ended up being October 19th just because that was the only day the hospital had available. So I ended up carrying her 40 weeks on the dot. And the night before, we were so frantic trying to get like our sheets washed. We just wanted to set up our home to where we could come home and we would have like tons of food in the fridge, accessible, clean sheets, clean house, clean dogs, like everything was just kind of ready to go for us and we didn't have to like maintain anything. Last minute touches to our hospital bags. Then that night I was laying in bed and I just had like a total breakdown. I just started crying my eyes out, knowing that this was the last night that I was gonna be carrying her in my stomach. I don't know, it was just like a very, almost like sad moment for me that I wouldn't have her to myself anymore. Also very selfish. But then, you know, I talked to Ryan about it and I was like, you know, I'm ready to share her with you and the world. I just feel like she's so safe and protected in my stomach. And so I kind of had like a freak out moment that night, but then I was fine. So then the next morning, we had to get there at 9, and that morning my parents and my sisters were here, and it was just so frantic trying to get everything together that there wasn't even really any time for like emotions. We were just trying to, sorry, I have like an itch in my nose. Right, is there like a piece of skin in my nose right here? Like, imagine I film this whole thing and there's like a booger.
If I was gonna say music, come closer.
Hold on, let me look at my camera. It is. Maybe it's like a makeup brush. Sometimes they come off. So Ryan and I got to the hospital at 9 o'clock. We checked in, and when you have a C-section, they don't put you in like a labor and delivery room. Normally when you have like a vaginal birth, you go into labor and delivery, you have a room, and then you go into your postpartum room. But for me with my C-section, oh, and I also just wanna say like, this is how my experience was. Like, I don't, you know, every hospital is different. So this is just like 100% my experience on everything. I don't want, like, if something weird happened to me, I don't want you to think it's gonna happen to you, or if my hospital does things a certain way, don't think that that's what your hospital is gonna do as well. I just think everything's different. They took me into like an area where it was just curtained off rooms, even though we were the only ones in there, which was really nice. We checked into that room and I put my gown on and everything, and we had to wait there 2 hours before the actual C-section, and they were, you know, doing like blood tests, checking for STDs, checking for just tons of stuff, just prepping me basically and like running tests. We got off to a really rocky start. My nurse, she inserted an IV in this arm, couldn't get blood to come out, inserted an IV in this arm, couldn't get blood to come out, inserted one in my hand, couldn't get blood to come out. And they are the thickest needles. And I was telling Ryan, I was like, I want to go home and do this another day because there's already like bad juju in the air. Like bad things are already happening. I don't want to do this today. It's got like really bad feeling, and it was just like very uncomfortable. But anyway, she finally got an IV in and finally got blood to come out. So I met my anesthesiologist. He came in, he was so great. And then I met all the other doctors who were gonna be in the room. They kind of came in one by one, introduced themselves, told me what their role was, which was really nice, because then you just kind of get an intro to everybody who's gonna be in this like room with you when your baby comes out. So it was nice to meet everyone. And then my doctor came in and just kind of gave me the rundown. And this was like right before we went in, so my nerves were like, I was starting to get very nervous. Emotions were kind of running high at that point. I was just very quiet. And a woman came in who was actually the hospital's photographer and videographer. And she asked if we wanted video and photo services. And we were like, oh my gosh, of course. Like, we want these memories to have forever. So we like hired her right on the spot. And so now we have video footage and photos of the whole experience, which was awesome. So if your hospital offers that, maybe just go ahead and ask in advance. I had so many people say that they wish they knew their hospital offered it, or wish they had like taken advantage of something like that. So definitely ask beforehand, because we had no idea. So then they wheeled me to the operating room, and Ryan had to stay back while I got my epidural. And he was putting on his protective gear and stuff. So we were separated for about 10 minutes. So they wheeled me into the room, and it was just like a really bright operating room, like something you would see on Grey's Anatomy. I was expecting some like dingy little like hospital situation, but it was like a very bright hospital room. And then everybody that I had met was in there. It was probably like 7 people. Immediately like got right into it. You know, they put me, I got up on the table, on the operating table, and the anesthesiologist had me open up my gown in the back and scoot to the edge of the table so he could give me the epidural. And then one of the other doctors, he got like between my legs and put a pillow between us and had me like rest my head on his shoulder. He held my hand. He was like, just squeeze my hand. The epidural actually was not bad at all. Like, at all. I was expecting, well, you just don't know what to expect when you go in, and everybody always talks about the epidural. And you know, I was actually kind of scared going in. Not scared, just kind of anxious of what that would feel like or what that would be like. But it was no big deal. So, and he walked me through everything he was doing. So first he numbed the area with a shot, which that was the worst part of it all. It just felt like a little bitty sting, like a little bug bite, I guess. And then when he put the actual thing like up my back, it just felt like pressure, like somebody was like pressing on my back. But that was it, and then it was over. And I was like, was that it? For me, the epidural wasn't bad at all. Before the epidural, he walked me through what the epidural was going to do. And he said, and this is what kind of freaked me out a little bit. He said, it's not going to make you completely numb. You're still going to feel everything. You just won't feel pain. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Wait, what do you mean? He said, you're going to feel pressure. You're going to feel everything, just not pain. And I was like, okay, I think this is one of those things where I'm just gonna have to experience it to know exactly what he's talking about. Because I was like, this does not make sense. They also told me I might feel a little nauseous. He said most people get sick immediately after they put the epidural. A lot of people get the shakes. He said a lot of people feel like they can't breathe, like there's something on their chest. He said because of the numbness, you feel like you aren't able to breathe. So that freaked me out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a little claustrophobic, so I'm just gonna have to like talk myself through this. I had already asked for in the curtained off room for a Zofran. I was like, I'm still taking like morning sickness medicine. I was like, can I just go ahead and get some Zofran in my IV? So they gave me 4 or 8 milligrams of Zofran. So they did the epidural. I didn't get sick. I didn't have the shakes. and I didn't have that breathing problem. So I was like very thankful for all of that. And as soon as the epidural kicked, like as soon as he administered the epidural, I started feeling the numbness going into my toes, and everybody just kind of rushed really quickly to like spin me around and lay me on my back. And they lifted my gown all the way up, opened my legs like spread eagle. And I was like, oh my gosh, did I even shave? Like, what does it even look like down there? Because I tried to shave the night before, but I was like, oh, I'm getting a C-section. Like, they're not gonna be looking down there. So I just got a razor and was like, no idea what it looked like. But at the moment, you just don't care. So there's that. And I'm sure they've seen it all. They understand. The epidural, it was like, it just started at my toes and just started going all the way up. And all of a sudden, I just felt so tired. And I was telling the anesthesiologist, I was like, I can't even stay awake right now. I'm so tired, but you guys didn't give me anything to make me sleepy. I don't understand. And he said, sometimes the epidural just relaxes your body so much that it just makes you feel very tired. I was like, okay. So then Ryan comes in the room, and my doctor comes in the room, and you know, she was like, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I had to have my arms out like this, and Ryan was able to sit right behind me and have his head like right here, and he was kind of talking me through it, giving me pep talks, giving me encouragement. And my doctor was also giving a play-by-play of everything she was doing. And obviously I couldn't see what she was doing because there's a big blue curtain right there. And then I knew what the anesthesiologist meant when he said you could feel everything, just no pain, because I could definitely feel just pressure, and I could feel them, you know, cutting, and I could feel their hands like all over me and kind of moving my stomach around. And then my doctor, sorry, I just had to delete some stuff on the memory card. So then my doctor told me that she was like, oh my gosh, your skin is so thick. I'm having to really like be careful with how I'm cutting and what I'm doing. And I was like, wait, so is everything okay down there? Like, what do you mean? And she was like, no, it's fine. You just have really thick skin. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, that's just fine, right? Didn't she say something like, I can see her, like she was about to let us know that she was like pulling her out. She said something like, I got a warning that they were about to pull her out, and it was the weirdest thing. I could actually feel them pulling her out, and then I felt all of my organs just kind of fall into place, like fall back into place. And all of a sudden, like pressure was lifted off my lungs. Like it was just the strangest thing. It wasn't scary, it didn't hurt or anything. It was just a very strange feeling of like everything falling back into place, baby coming out. And so immediately my doctor was like, oh my gosh, she's pooping and peeing. And I thought they were talking about me. And I was like, wait, I am? What? And she was like, no, the baby. Rumi ended up like pooping all over my doctor as soon as she took her out. So I guess they wiped her off, and then they dropped the blue curtain, and we were able to see her, you know, as she came out. They were kind of cleaning her off, and we were able to like look at her. And I was so out of it. This whole time I'm fighting to stay awake. This whole entire time. All I could hear Ryan was saying was just, oh my God, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. She's perfect.
Look at your man. You have good toes.
And then they were showing her to me, but I was so out of it, I could barely even like focus on what I was looking at. And then they immediately took her away to the warmer, and I kind of turned my head so I could see the warmer, and I saw Ryan, and he was about to cut the umbilical cord, and I guess I fell asleep because then all I remember was Ryan kind of holding her in a swaddle and putting her to my face so I could see her. And I still don't actually like remember actually seeing her, but I see it on the video that the videographer took, so that was nice. And they closed me back up. You know, that I think my doctor said that's what takes the longest. You know, the whole C-section takes about 30 minutes, but the longest part is sewing everything back together because they cut through so many layers. And Ryan was able to be with her by the warmer, and then they were taking all of her weights and measurements and stuff like that. So then Ryan came back over to sit with me while they sewed me back up. So after they took Rumi to the warmer to do all this stuff, my doctor brought over a Tupperware with my placenta in it. And she was like, what? Yeah. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And she was like, be so thankful that your baby was Breech, because she said, your placenta had a, what was it called?
Like a supplemental node or something.
Yeah, so it was basically like my placenta was something attached to the end of it. And she said, had you given birth vaginally, you would have, you know, pushed out the placenta, but this like extra node would have stayed in your uterus. And she was like, she said it probably would have caused you to hemorrhage.
She said it could have hemorrhaged
Yeah.
after you were already sewn up.
After I was already sewn up. And she was like, so baby being breech was a blessing in disguise. I cannot believe I forgot that. I totally forgot about that until just now. So that was really scary. And I'm so thankful that she was breech because, I mean, anyways, I didn't want to think about that. That's just wild. And my doctor also told me when they took her out, the cord was wrapped around her neck, which we kind of suspected from the ultrasound, but it was wrapped pretty tightly around her neck. So thankfully they were able to, you know, get that unwrapped and she was good. Ryan and Rumi left to go back to the recovery room, the curtained off area, while they finished with me. So Ryan was able to be with her alone in the room for a while, and then they wheeled me back to the room and I started feeding her. She immediately latched. It was just like a really nice like bonding experience, even though I don't really remember it, but I have photos of it. So we stayed in that room. How long were we in that room for before we were sent to our private room?
An hour, maybe.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember that. So I guess, yeah, we were there for an hour and then we were wheeled to our private room where we stayed for 3 days? 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We left Friday.
Yeah, 3 days. As soon as we were in there, our family came in. I know a lot of people are, you know, either for family coming in or they just want to be completely alone their whole hospital stay, but we really wanted to involve our families in that experience, just our immediate family. So it was my mom, my dad, my sisters, my grandmother, my granddad, and then Ryan's mom, dad, and his grandmother. So we had, that was our little crew in the hospital room. They all got to meet her. I don't remember anybody being there. I don't remember any of this at all. At this point, I guess I'm still completely numbed. So yeah, I just don't remember. I was still so tired. So then I guess everybody left. And then I kind of, my first memory is waking up that evening and being so dizzy. Like to the point where I felt like I was on a roller coaster, just so dizzy. I still had Zofran in my system, so I wasn't feeling sick, but I couldn't even focus on the TV because it was just like moving. It was insane. I was so dizzy. And I remember I kept telling Ryan how dizzy I was, but like, I just kept falling in and out of sleep. And then I fell back asleep, woke back up, and I guess my Zofran had worn off because I was so dizzy to the point of being very nauseous. So called the nurse in and told her that I was feeling really sick because I was so dizzy. She pushed more Zofran into my IV and then I was fine again. And I couldn't eat anything that night just because I was feeling sick and just like wasn't into it. What did they bring me? They brought me like Jello or...
Brought you a bunch of stuff.
They brought me a bunch of stuff, but then they were like, don't eat this because the sugar will make you feel more sick. And I was like, wait, so then what am I supposed to eat? But yeah, I just wasn't like feeling food at all. That night, after they administered my Zofran and I was feeling a lot better, my night nurse came in and she said, it's time to take your catheter out, get up, and do your first walk. The catheter being taken out was probably one of the worst things of the whole entire thing. First of all, like, that just, it gets under my skin. It gives me the, like, just, ugh, I can't even think. It was pretty painful because my epidural has started wearing off, so I was starting to feel the pain and the soreness. And this woman comes in and tells me that I have to do a walk around my room, and I wanted to, like, just high kick her right inside of the head. So she took my catheter out, and that sucked. And I think her and Ryan both helped me out of bed. The first walk definitely sucked, but she was like, we've got to get your blood flowing. We've got to get up and walk around. And she said, as much as you can, get up and walk around. And she said, call us when you like pee for the first time. They put like a thing in the toilet that would catch my pee and they needed to test it or look at it or something like that. So finally, I felt like I had to pee. It was like in the middle of the night. So Ryan helps me up. I went to the bathroom for the first time. It was awful. It was super painful peeing for the first time. And it was just pure red. It was just pure blood. So we called the nurse. She came and like took it away, and I think you have to pee in that like thing in the toilet for the first like 3 or 4 times you pee, and then it's fine. It's like you're not peeing blood anymore. I don't know if you're peeing blood or if it's where the blood's coming from.
Yeah,
I don't know. The next morning, I think, is when I finally started like mentally, like the fog was like wearing off of the epidural and all of just the haze and the dizziness. My dizziness was finally almost gone that morning, which was nice. And I remember like my dad and sister coming. We just had a couple of people in and out all day, but for the most part, it was just Ryan and I and Rumi in the day. And it was just like staring at her, feeding her, burping her, changing her diaper, just on repeat. I finally got my appetite. My dad brought me like 24 donuts from Krispy Kreme. So during the night, my OB recommended that we send Rumi to the nursery so we could get some sleep, and because she was like, sleeping is so important for healing. She was like, if you're gonna be up all night just staring at her, every little sound you're gonna be like, what was that? She was like, you have to get sleep. So she was like, I recommend sending her to the nursery while you guys are sleeping at night. So what our routine was during the night was around probably like 11:30 or 12, we would call our night nurse, and she would come get Rumi, take her to the nursery, and then every 3 hours she would bring her in to feed. And so I would nurse her and burp her and then kind of rock her back to sleep, and then I would call her, my nurse, she would come get her. Every 3 hours we just did that, and then Ryan would change her diaper every time, which was really comforting because our night nurses were so great. So I felt like she was in really, really good hands, better hands than I could give her at the moment, because Ryan was exhausted. I was out of it. Like, it was just such a blessing that we had that option of having her go to the nursery at night so we could catch up on sleep. And I told my doctor, I was like, I feel so bad. I just had her, now I'm just sending her off. And she was like, no, trust me. She was like, I did it with both of my kids. And she was like, you're going to be so thankful once you get home that you had that time to sleep. So if your hospital offers nursery at night, definitely take advantage of it, because it was really nice. And we only did it, I think, like, we only sent her away twice during the night. Send her off at 11:30, keep her till like 1, send her away, bring her back, kept her till 7:30, and then we would just keep her for like the rest of the day. The next couple of days, I was just like round the clock pain meds. The nurses will come in and give you your medicine when it's time to take it. I was on like a hydrocodone mix and a 800 milligram ibuprofen. So I would, take those like consistently throughout the day, throughout the night, and that was keeping the pain minimal. Whenever you get up and walk around, it just takes a village. I pretty much stayed in, like, the whole time I was in the hospital, and I packed like all these pajamas, my robe, but you're literally sitting on a puppy pad just bleeding through it. So I was like, I'm not about to put my pajamas on that I packed in my hospital bag, because I'm gonna ruin them. I'm gonna get blood all over everything, because you're literally just like going through pads and these little like puppy pads that they put on your bed. And so I wore, the whole time I was there, my mesh underwear, a giant pad, and that's it. I had the gown that they gave me, and finally I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna request more gowns, because this is practical. It just literally comes off, goes back on, and it's just easy. So forget my pajamas that I packed and my robe that I packed. I'm just gonna like get more gowns from the hospital and pretty much just be naked the whole time with my mesh underwear. And Rumi was just in a diaper the whole time. That's just how we functioned for the whole time we were in hospital. And my nurse came in and I was like, are we the only like nude family here? And she said, oh no. She was like, everybody just wears their mesh underwear and that's it. And so I was like, okay, that like makes me feel a little bit better. The second night we were there, I took my first shower, and Ryan helped me. I like true love. Like, Ryan would take me to the bathroom. Every time we went to the bathroom, he would like change my pad for me and put my new one in, take my old one out, and really just like took care of me in that department, because you can't, like, I couldn't even reach down. I was so sore. But the second night I was there, Ryan helped me take a shower, and I don't know how people bring their makeup and their like 7-step skincare routine. I think I brushed my teeth twice the whole time I was there. Like you're just so, that's like the last thing you think about. And so I just packed like my razor and body wash and face wash and just moisturizer. So I took a shower and it felt so good to take a shower. And I got out of the shower and I noticed this like big lump on like my lower back. I don't think we took a picture of that, did we? Mm-hmm. It was a huge swollen lump like right above like my butt crack. And Ryan called the nurse. The nurse came in and she was like, I've never seen this before. I'm gonna have to get a doctor right now. She was like, I don't know what this is. It could be something from your epidural. Like we need to figure it out. So I start freaking out. I'm like, wait. Doctor comes in, he takes a look at it and he said like he's never seen it before, but he doesn't think there's anything wrong. And we ended up figuring out that it was where I was sitting in the hospital bed. It's where my skin, where my body wasn't pressing on the bed. So the fluid was just kind of pooling there. Because I gone through how many bags of fluid? Like
a lot.
So many bags of fluid. Yeah. So I was even more swollen in recovery than I was when I was pregnant. And I was really swollen while I was in the last like couple of weeks when I was pregnant. So we just kind of chalked it up to fluid buildup. And it was fine. The next day it was gone. I had people coming in and checking on it a lot though, so that kind of worried me, but it ended up going away and it was completely fine. That was pretty much our time in the hospital. It is painful. Not while you're just sitting there. While you're just sitting there watching TV, eating, you know, doing whatever, you know, your pain is manageable, it's fine. It's when you have to get up and walk around that it's like whoosh. Everyone's pain level is obviously different. Everyone's like tolerance is different. But I will say I was so pleasantly surprised at how little pain I had just sitting there. Like I was able to hold the baby, I was able to be fully aware. And it was just when I had to get up and go to the bathroom. By the way, pushing pee out is probably like one of like the worst things about the whole experience. Like, and then like your bowel movements are also one of like the worst things. So I would say just like going to the bathroom is like a hard pass for me that whole 3 days I was there. And even when I got home, and the gas buildup is also pretty awful as well because you can't like push gas out. I told Ryan, I was like, I just want to fart, but I can't. It's just like, I can't even explain it. So I would say like overall, that was the worst part of it, but just sitting there, I was completely fine. So then the day we went home, I was so ready to get home, like so ready. And I was so frantic that day because you're talking to like the billing department, the like finance department, you know, your nurse is coming in giving you discharge notes. I totally forgot to take my pain medicine. And so I was like down really bad that night when we got home from the hospital. Like I think I was crying. I was in so much pain. So my advice is definitely stay on top of your pain meds. And also you can't, this whole time, like the whole time in the hospital, I wasn't able to see my incision because of my swelling. My stomach was still sticking out pretty far because your uterus is still so swollen. So I wasn't even able to see what it looked like. But I took the bandages off, I think the third morning or the second night. Bandages came off and like the little butterfly things stayed on. Ryan looked at it and he said, you know, it looks fine, and he helped me take everything off. But yeah, so the day we went home, it was actually like such a special moment going home. It's something that I'd always thought about, like being wheeled out of the hospital, carrying Rumi and just, you know, putting her in the car seat, taking her home, which the car seat, I suggest practicing on like a doll before, because we thought we had the whole car seat thing figured out. But when you actually put your baby in it for the first time, it's like, wait, what do I do? Got home, you know, everything was all over the place. Like we didn't unpack any of our stuff until the next day. So the first night was kind of frantic because things were just piled everywhere. We didn't really know how to swaddle her. We didn't really know what to do. And so I told Ryan, I was like, you think they would let us go back to the hospital just for one more night? Because we were like, we missed Joanne, who was our night nurse. She was so great. We wanted Joanne to come live with us. So Ryan pretty much did everything the first, I would say like half of like half week that we were there, that we came home. He did all of the like cooking, cleaning, laundry, helped me get out of bed, helped me shower, had to like help me with my pads still. And I pretty much stayed in bed for the first half week just nursing her, and then he would do diaper change, rocking, burping, all of that. And luckily my mom stayed with us for the first 2 weeks, so she was able to watch Remy while Ryan helped me shower. And she like ran to the store for us and grabbed groceries for us. Anything that we needed last minute for the baby, she went and grabbed for us. So it was really nice having her help the first couple of weeks. I started to gain my independence at the end of that first week. So getting up and like doing a load of laundry just felt so nice. Just being able to have my independence back, or like make a small meal for myself. It was just nice to like get back into some sort of like being able to do things for myself. And Ryan's like, let me do it. And I'm like, no, it feels nice to actually get up and do something. So I made the bed one morning, but then I got back in it because I was like, I don't know where I think I'm going, but I just kind of had, you know, my computer here, my phone here, baby here, and I felt like I was kind of getting back to myself after that first week. In terms of independence, emotionally and, you know, like hormonally, you're all over the place, like you're falling apart, but I felt like I was at least like gaining my independence, and I was able to like get up and walk around. We took our first walk outside, which was really nice to get Rumi outside like in her stroller and take a little stroll. We saw the tag on the stroller. We were like, okay, we need to like get ourselves together. We had the tag on the stroller. Yeah, getting fresh air. I feel like if you're starting to feel kind of like you're stuck, is gonna be like this forever, getting outside, getting some fresh air, or like putting on some music, game changer. And I know that sounds so stupid, but it really did help for like my mental well-being to like get outside. And that was about the first week of being home, and it was a lot of learning lessons, a lot of like 3 a.m. orders on Amazon, like we need Velcro swaddles, we need this, we need more changing pads. So it's just kind of hectic that first week, but if you can like hang in there the first week, definitely the first 2 weeks, then I feel like you kind of have an idea of what you're doing. You get in like some sort of routine. We're on our 3rd week now, and I definitely want to do a video going over the first 2 weeks, because there are so many things that people just don't warn you about in those first 2 weeks. Today, you know, she turned 3 weeks a few days ago, and my incision, like I got my butterfly tape off. I'm wearing silicone scar patches now, and I'm starting to get pretty sore internally. Like it's kind of getting hard to sit up again. So I think inside I'm just still healing, and I know it's gonna take, I think my doctor said like 3 months to fully feel like back to normal. So I know that seems like such a long time, but I am able to like, you know, do almost anything on my own. I just can't like lift anything heavy. That was our experience of, you know, C-section, delivery, and overall I had such a great experience. You know, all of my nurses, like all the hospital staff, were so great and so helpful. And I just felt like a sense of comfort being at the hospital. And when I look back, it's like nothing but like a really good feeling and a really good experience. Just the C-section overall, and the hospital stay overall was just awesome. Our nurses, like we couldn't have asked for a better staff. So we had a really good experience, and we had family bringing us food, which was nice. We had like food being delivered to us by family like round the clock, which was nice. Ryan had a couch that turned into a bed, but we all 3 kind of snuggled up in my hospital bed and watched movies for the most of the time. Yeah, we feel like we're getting into a routine now, and you know, I think with newborns, you know, daytime routine is just so like all over the place. Like they're gonna nap when they want, they're gonna eat when they want. It's just all over the place. But we've started to establish like a nighttime routine, like a 2-hour window for bedtime. We like read a book, or we rock, or we sing or something, and then, you know, she kind of goes to bed around the same like 2-hour window every night. And she's sleeping really well, and she's gaining weight really well. So I think we're doing okay. Okay, so we're gonna get back to vlogging for the next video. The next video will be a vlog. I don't know what it's gonna entail, because we pretty much just stay in this room all the time, but we'll just kind of share newborn life and kind of what we're doing now and our routine, and do what we can. All right, so I will see you in the next video.